And welcome back, everyone, to the NFL Today as we get set to preview tonight's Minnesota-New Orleans NFC Championship game for CBSSports.com. Let's start with multimedia Boomer.
I'll take it from the Vikings standpoint. The Vikings want to win this game. Adrian Peterson better find his game. He hasn't had a 100-yard game since the middle of November. And when you go on the road, you play in a high-intensity arena like the Superdome will be today. You have got to run the ball. You've got to keep the ball away from Drew Brees. It's not all about Brett Favre in this game. To me, it's about Adrian Peterson. He finds his game, they have a great chance to win.
Well, I'm going to take it from the New Orleans perspective, and I think Minnesota's offense is predicated on their defense. And when they can get turnover, even though they're on the road now and they haven't played as well on the road as they had the beginning of the season. But I just don't think that Minnesota, with that banged-up defensive line that gets pressure on the quarterback, forces turnover, forces Drew Brees into INTs, I just don't see how that, with Ray Edwards being hurt, Kevin Williams being hurt, that they can put enough pressure on Drew Brees. I think the New Orleans Saints is going to win this game.
Well, and I think Minnesota, the last 3 road games, they have shown some vulnerability, particularly on the defensive side and even on the offensive side. But, you look at the game plan last week with Brett Favre and, throwing the ball 24, 25 times. I think it's very important that they stay very patient in this game, not get away from a game plan that allows him to utilize the running game, the play-action game. But New Orleans, I agree, Shannon, they are so balanced in everything they do. Their offense running and throwing. Defense is healthy right now. And if Reggie Bush gives them that little X factor in the kicking game, I just think they're too much.
I just want you to know, JB, that I'm the only guy that actually picked the Minnesota Vikings to go to the Super Bowl. These guys, I don't know who you guys picked. They've been out of it for a long time. But when I think about the Saints, their offense is so balanced. They run it and throw it just as well, and they're very balanced that way. And then if they can run the ball early, which I think they can because they're home, then that's Drew Brees, play action against the safeties. They love down the middle, the seam routes down the middle of the field. I don't think the Vikings have the kind of support in the secondary, especially the safeties, to make plays.
Minnesota's kicking special teams hadn't been so special this year either.
When Coach talked about problems on the offensive end for the Vikings, key to Adrian Peterson, that offensive line has got to give him a little help too, right?
There's no question about that. But again, when you go into a game like this, especially in the first quarter, you have to weather the storm. And I think all of us talk about going on the road in front of an intense crowd because that's exactly what it's going to be like today. And the way you do that is run the ball. Yeah. And Adrian Peterson just has not been able to get on track the last 2.5 months. He needs to have a huge game today.
And I think the key is for Brett Favre and that offense, if they struggle a little bit in the running game early, they still have to stay patient.
Right.
You have to stay patient with because it's going to be critical for them to do that in order to take some pressure off of Favre on the road.
Or get a big play.
Early, right.
You can take the crowd out of the game by getting a big play in the kick game or an offensive touchdown. You don't necessarily have to run it, but if you can control the ball and keep Drew Brees off the field, that's a better way of doing it.
As you can tell by the insight, should be a good one. All right, folks. Dan did. Hey, be sure to join us on Sunday, February 7th at 2 p.m. Eastern for the Super Bowl today, leading up to Super Bowl 44 right here on CBS.